Hi, Richard, and welcome to Pallo TV.
Thank you very much.
Let's look into your academy activity, both the sports side and the business side of it. And let's start with the sports side. You've been developing the academy for some years now, and it looks as if it's starting to pay off. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think thanks for taking the time to do this interview. It's really nice to get to share our situation and maybe story. If we look performance-wise of the players and using what you call academy or our player pathway, we believe it's starting to work. There's a lot more to do, but now we have 10 players from our player pathway that are in the first team squad. And this is a real achievement for a small place like Seinäjoki. I think there's 60 to 65,000 people we have here. So to be able to build a football club that can produce players from the player pathway into the first team and now compete near the top of the Veikkausliiga, we're very proud of the steps that we've taken so far on the sports-wise.
Well, you should be. It's impressive. How would you describe it? What sort of development stage are you in sports-wise at the moment? For example, are you able to get to pick the incoming young players, or do you just take everyone who signs up?
I can maybe open up a little bit more the remit of what our owner board, what they want to make is a football club that everybody in Seinäjoki can be proud of for the next 100, however many years. And when I started and went from player to this role, my remit, my role is to look long-term, medium-term of what the club can do better to be more successful. And they're paying big salaries or within context of our club and Finnish football to pay salaries for 1 year and try to win. It's difficult to then win every year or be successful every year or have a good business from football. So the model we decided to build was that we could produce our own players that get to the first team, help the first team be successful, qualify for Europe, win games in Europe, win the league, win the cup, with players that we've had time to work with. They understand the club, the values, the city, and then help them to move forward to a foreign league. That way, the club has a chance to be profitable, to repeat the success year after year, and then become sort of a very long-term fixture in Seinäjoki history, that this football club is a big part of people's lives. And if you just try to win 1 year, then you restart the next year, you have only the 2023 shirts from SJK, and then next year you make 2024 and there's no history. There's nothing that the community can feel proud of. So the owner have built and been part of building wonderful stadium facilities that are right now the best in Finland. Other teams are now making stadiums, which is great to raise the level of Finnish football. But this was the way we chose to do it. And we feel like that gives us more control, more stability to have a better team slowly from our system. And then the better team can compete with those bigger teams in Finland and then at the European stage when and if we get there in the future.
Well, your success regarding the A team, the first team, is pretty easy to detect. But how would you measure the academy's success as a whole?
I think if you put it from 1 to 100%, we're about 20% on the journey. We've got a long way to go. Going back to your previous question, do we just select players who want to come, or do we recruit? No, we actually have now recruitment staff who are looking specifically to find players that will come to Seinäjoki, and we believe that we can add this to their game to then develop them to get to the academy team in Ykkönen. Then we work with them a little bit more to help get to the first team. So we have very selective process in that. I think earlier in my time, we were just trying to attract better players to Seinäjoki. And over 3-4 years, and I expect the next 5 years, we want to then get players who really understand this is the right environment to come to be a professional player, the pathway straight to first team, to national team, and abroad is clear. We've done it year after year. So players, young Finnish talented players, and hopefully girls also in future want to come here to this environment. And if they want to be successful in football, they see this as one of the best places in Finland.
Yeah. Paint us a picture of your scouting. How is it built up, or how is it, how does it work? How many scouts have you, for example?
We work with, there's one full-time who's working every day with myself. And then we have a couple of people on the outside. So then one part-time analyst who's looking at more the data side of scouting. And then we're just relying on key contacts in many places. So different cities or locations in Finland, or different markets, different countries around the world. And we've done reasonably well in South America and now in Africa, to kind of go there, see what player might be. Lots of top clubs in Europe are going there, and they take these biggest talents, and there's no way that a Finnish club or seniority can compete. But we've done well to identify what maybe is our level, where we can find a player who's not going straight to Belgium or the Premier League or La Liga or Serie A, but we can find the next level player that maybe people aren't looking at, and then we can bring them here, help them develop. So with the people and the resources we spend on that, we think we have a good reach for a Finnish club with our recruitment.
Okay, then let's move forward and look into the business side of your academy. On the sports side, the aim is to develop players for your A team. But on the business side, it's meant to make money. How would you describe your situation at the moment? How far away are you from profitability and self-sufficiency?
If we divide it between first team and academy, the academy will never be self-sufficient, because it's a place that is just losing money because people are sponsoring the first team. The sales team is selling for the first team. So we don't spend too much time thinking about it as isolated. So we're thinking as SJK as a whole. So if we look at that, we're 1 or 2 years away from maybe the financial side that we really want, whether that's losing a little bit of money or zero or then profitable. So we're facing a scenario that European qualification is quite impacting on the finances. And our steps forward now is to qualify regularly, so 4 out of 5 years for Europe, and sell 1 or 2 players every year. If we get to that, we'll be quite sustainable financially and probably in small profit or a little bit profit every year. But the academy system, maybe HJK is also investing in theirs, but everything we invest, we lose in that, because there's no income coming back, only if the player gets the first team and is sold. So that's something that was taken quite difficult for people to understand, that the club, that these are investments. We have to pay money in that area. We have to put money on better coaches, on player salaries, in order to get a better player to the first team to then help the first team. And then that cycle kind of repeats. So now with a couple of the young players that have started almost every game in Veikkausliiga, they are from our academy system. So now we start to see the reward, and hopefully 1 or 2 of them can be sold at the right time in the future for them and for the club. And then we will help towards the club being more financially stable, which is part of the long-term goals.
Yeah. And finally, what is key moving forward?
I think the key, we are now in the process to change a little bit the team structure. So if our SJK Academy 2, which plays Kulmanen, if they continue the success of this season, they have a chance to raise to Kakkonen. What is Kakkonen now? It's a little bit different with the structure change next year. But our key there is to get as many young players playing adult football as early as possible. So the target would be to have Veikkausliiga Ykkönen and then this Kakkonen team, we'd have 60 players playing adult football every week. And this is a big asset for us in terms of teaching them game experience, how to win against a player that also understands how to win. And that's a key to get the structure right. And then I think to just continue the processes that I've built, invest in the young people, believe in them, invest and believe in young coaches that are hungry to be successful. And in turn, the club will evolve and grow to those sort of medium and long-term targets of stability and even more, perhaps. And maybe the last point for that is that we want the message out about what we're doing here. We want more people to understand and see. It was 3 or 4 years ago that people didn't even understand what we were trying, and hopefully this year they have seen that they are doing things different and it starts to work with first team results with young people and young players. So we want more of the same in the future.
Thank you for these words, Richard. And once again, thank you for talking to Pallo TV, and good job, man.
Thank you. It's not done yet. There's lots of work to do, but we really appreciate you getting us on, and thanks for this.